Power. When we hear the word, we think of power in the world around us. People in power. Powerful systems, the power of nature. What we don't realize is power is us. It's personal, it's primitive, it's passionate, and it's full of possibilities, but only if harnessed, cultivated, strengthened, and unleashed from within. This power is everyone's to have, everyone's to find, everyone's to own. Not just a select few, but all of us. This is Nicole Devlin, professional life coach. Thanks for joining me today for From The Nth Power, where I'll be talking about power in everyday life. I'll be asking you to explore personal notions of power, how to become aware of it, grow it, and utilize it. Through my endeavors to grow my own power, which have created a foundation of wisdom, I'll help you find ways for the power of your complete internal self, mind, body, even spirit, to create more peace and more confidence, resulting in more success and greater results in your external life. Welcome to the birth and growth of your own personal conception of power. Welcome to From The Nth Power. Well, hello, everybody. This is Nicole Devlin at From The Nth Power podcast, where we talk about power, how to get it, how to grow it, how to understand that you have it, and then even what to do with it, right? Because we're living in a world where there's a lot of sense of external power being more important than the power that you can grow from inside, which is exponential, it's infinite, it's resourceful, and it probably has answers to a lot more than you think. So this is From The Nth Power podcast. And today's guest is a beautiful, shining example of life and power and all kinds of other intelligence and beautifulness that I just can't wait to engage in. I'm super excited. And her name is Kat Sterling. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to let Kat introduce herself, and then we'll get to some really good stuff. I'll tell you the title of today's podcast. We're going to have some questions and we're going to dialogue about winning and power. So go ahead, Kat.
Thanks, Nicole. I appreciate you. And thanks so much for having me today. I am so excited because our initial conversation just went so well. So I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. I am Kat Sterling. I am the author of Why They Are Winning and You Are Not. I have been in corporate for over 15 years. And so I have a lot of expertise and knowledge in business and strategy and how to succeed in the corporate world and just how to win overall. So I'm hoping that today's conversation will be a good dialogue between the both of us so we can get some information out to people who really want to take their career to the next level, take their relationship to the next level, take their, their entrepreneurship to the next level, whatever it is that you want to succeed in. Hopefully this conversation will drive that forward and put some power in you and give you the information that you need to be successful.
Right. Right. And it is all about winning. You know, somebody said yesterday she works with children, and she said that, like, right off the bat, she tells these young children, you won the race because you existed. So there was one sperm that became you. You came out of the womb winning. So why is it that you think you're
millions?
Right. Millions,
Right.
Trillions, right? I mean,
Exactly.
You won the race. So if we all thought like that, I mean, it would be great. So the title for today's podcast, just to bring it back to those two themes, are winning and power. What people who want to be successful must learn. You know, there's such an amazing amount of information out there about success and how to make I get daily emails. You can make six figures, and success, drawing it up and down to money and figures. And yet sometimes in these conversations, you know, I sit back and I feel like, are the people that are chasing that really winning? Do they really feel like they have power? Do they feel like in the morning with that feeling like I already won the race? And what's next? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I feel like some people have gotten a platform and they just talk and they don't really live what they talk by.
Yeah.
But you and I, we kind of live what we talk by. You know, we have been through it, we've lived through it. Everything I speak in my book, I've been through and I've lived through. And so I know from firsthand experience what it takes and how to get it and where to get it from. Like I said, power is subjective. Power and winning and success, all of that is subjective. It depends on the individual, right? Like my definition of success is to, be an entrepreneur, to really make my own way. I didn't want to depend on a corporate life. I didn't want to depend on somebody else to make my way in this world. And so your definition may be totally different from mine. What is your definition of success?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's really funny too, because my definition of success is being able to sleep at night. And
Totally different.
right, being able to sleep at night, putting my head on the pillow and actually not being disturbed by things I said, things other people did, really feeling comfortable in my skin,
Yeah.
knowing that I am who I am
Yeah.
here in my apartment by myself and
Yeah.
out there in the world riding my bike, talking
Yeah.
to you. I'm the same person. And from that sense of intuition and integrity
Yeah.
and self,
Yeah.
very strong sense of self, I
Mhm.
know that the other success, the materialism, the abundance of work, the coaching clients, whatever
Mhm.
it is I'm looking for financially, monetarily, will only provide me with more freedom to be
Yes.
myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it changes, I feel, as you grow in
Yep.
your journey, whatever that journey is that you're on. I feel like it changes because my definition of success at 20 was probably to be a billionaire.
Yes, that's
That
right.
was it. That was it. Now it's something way different. In my 30s, it was different. And now it's something way different in my 40s. So it's like it changes. So just know that it's never going to be the same. It's always going to look different. And then once you reach whatever you deem as successful or powerful, whatever that peak is for you, where are your next goals? What do it still has to evolve from
Yes.
there. It's always an evolving thing. So when we say success, you have to define that success for you, whatever that success. Don't look at everybody else's success because somebody else's success will look totally different. And when you start comparing yourself, oh my goodness, Nicole, you get into a
Yeah.
whole nother world of down spiral. I've done it for years. I've compared myself. Oh, why don't I have what they have? Or why don't I look like that? Or why don't I have that? And that just leads to so much depression, anxiety. And I just feel like that's what's wrong with society today is like people are just looking at these people on social media and they're thinking that's success. And that's not success. You have to find success within whatever your definition of success is. It has to be within.
Yes. And also to delineate this idea of like looking outside. So I
Yeah.
totally get what you say about looking at other people and comparing. That's
Yeah.
no good, no bueno, right? But I will say this from the perspective of the external being absorbed into the individual and creating a stronger sense of success, one must also allow life to happen.
Oh,
Yes, given your energy now and
oh,
the level of acceptance of yourself and where you're at that I
yes,
heard the last time I talked to you, you've
yes,
probably had a couple of like life happenings that haven't been pleasant, that you've
yes.
had to work through, deal with, whatever it was that you had to do. And that
Oh,
is also success.
yes.
Overcoming obstacles, not sitting back and being like, I'm so depressed, but what am I going to do about it? And what do I need to change about myself? Not to walk around like we're Pollyanna and everything's great.
Yes,
But to
yes.
deal, to have a toolkit to be able to deal. So how do you feel like what has happened in your life that's really like whatever it is you would want to talk about that you think has shifted your perspective on success from your 20s to now, 20 or so years later?
Oh my gosh, we could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
There's so many things that happen.
Open up that can.
I'm telling you. You
Pick
know,
one, pick one.
you make a plan in life, especially when you're young and you're hungry and you're so motivated to get out there and just, oh my God, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You make
Yep.
a plan and it may not be the plan that God has for you, or it may not be that that plan is not right for you. So it ends up shifting. And so it led me down a path that I never thought. So I always wanted to go to med school. That didn't happen. Some things happened that never happened. So I was like, oh my gosh, what do I have to do? So then I found a career in corporate healthcare. That was another career, that was another shift for me. And so I was like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? Then I got married in my 30s and that didn't work out. That was my first marriage. And so that didn't work out. So that shifted my perspective on relationships and love and growth and marriage. And so one thing I've learned about that, and that's why I say success is not just about power. It's not just about money. It's not just about a career. It can be about relationships.
Yep.
That was one of the things that I learned. To have a successful marriage, you really have to look at yourself. And most people are not willing to do that. They are not willing to do that self inventory. It's everybody else's fault. It's his fault why this didn't work. No, it's both of your faults.
Right.
People don't want to admit that. So relationships take work. It's not just a matter of you getting married and it's a pretty wedding and you guys go off into what are you going to do after the honeymoon is over?
Exactly.
Life happens, things will happen. So that was in my 30s. And then when I got in my 40s, I'm remarried now. And then when I got my 40s, I was like, I don't want to do this job anymore. Oh my gosh, this can't be all that is there is to life. And then some things happened at my job where I had to leave. And so then that totally shifted. So I had to shift my mindset to say, what am I going to do now? And you said something earlier. I mean, you can roll over and die when things happen to you. Life is life is amazing, but it can be devastating at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I mean, curveballs. I mean, you're going to get a curveball tomorrow, and it's about what you do in those curveballs. What are you going to do in those valleys?
Yeah.
I always describe your journey in life as like a river. And so, no, sometimes it's like flowing, it's really straight, and sometimes it's like this, and there's like branches and debris in there. And then sometimes it's like really, really straight. It's like this. So it's like your life is like a river. It's like a flowing river, and it's going to go through rocky terrain. It's going to go through nasty, muddy terrain, and it's going to go through some straight, smooth terrain. But it's how you handle those rough terrains that really make or break you in this life. And so if you don't change your mindset when those bad things, because we all perceive it's whatever you perceive as bad or good, right? It's
Yes.
no
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Perceive, right? So
Yes.
it's like those bad things happen. How are you equipped to handle it? Are you going to roll over and die, like I said earlier? Or are you going to say, you know what? This is tough. I know God has a bigger plan for me.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me just fight through it, because I guarantee you, if you look back at your life and you say, okay, that was a bad thing, but man, let me look right now where I am. Wow. Like he elevated me. Like that was then, but
Yes.
now I'm elevated, right? Haven't you
Yes.
done that? You've done
Yes.
that?
Oh, absolutely. And it's a matter of shifting your perspective. And in listening to you, like a couple of things come up. Number one, I'm going to say this for all people, but I think I'll say this as for women more
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be anything you want, and it's valuable. If you
Yes.
decide to stay at home and raise children, that's valuable. If you decide to run a corporation, that's valuable. If you decide to start a small business, that's valuable.
Absolutely.
It should just make you happy,
Yes.
right? And that here's the thing: if whatever path you choose, it's like coming to this other question that we were asking, right? Like, what do all truly successful and powerful people possess? I don't know if it's a possession thing or a happening thing, but no matter what you choose as your plan or your path, life is going to morph it for you. And you're going to learn to like roll down that river and deal with the debris.
Absolutely.
And most specifically, what people fail to understand is that failure itself is an asset on that river. The debris, the failure, the stuff that hits you, it is an opportunity to elevate yourself, to be elevated, however you look at universal or spiritual things. And in fact, that failure and maybe in your case was a first marriage. In my case was my first try at starting my own business, failed miserably, ended up like losing my house. I had a ton of debt, and I wouldn't take it back for anything because it led me to come back to New York. It led me to meet certain people here. It led me to be where I'm living right now. And I'm super happy. But the other piece of it that I think is, I heard a friend of mine the other day describe this. It's like, her husband says to her, you should be grateful that you have me because I teach you how to handle difficult people. And I scoff like when he says that, but it's true.
It's true.
And she goes, and then meanwhile, like when he's being difficult, I don't say like, oh, I'm learning how to handle difficult people. And isn't this grand? No, it's difficult. And I got to look at myself, like you said. But fundamentally, she's like, every time I have a difficulty with him or anything difficult happens in my life now, because she has experience turning to gratitude, that gratitude is a habit. So even while she's in the midst of difficult and she's crying or getting angry, there's a little trigger of something that's like, this is going to turn out all right.
Yes.
That takes practice because it's a mindset. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even when I had the situation happen at my job, I was like, I almost lost my house. Like I had $1,000 to my name when I left that job. I was making six figures.
Yeah.
That's why I said you got to get ready and you got to stay ready, because you never know when life is going to kick you in the ass. Sorry, excuse my French. And it can and it will. And don't ever think for a second it can't happen to you. No. People sit there and think that it can't happen to them. I never would have thought that would have happened to me. Don't ever think for a second that whatever situations can't happen to you. What are you going to do if your husband leaves? What are you going to do if you get sick? What are you going to do if you lose your job? Like, what are you going to do if you get sick? You know what I'm saying? You just never know. So it's like, don't ever think for a second, don't ever get comfortable. So now my motto is you need to get ready and you need to stay ready, because if I had been prepared, I would have been more equipped to handle it mentally. But because I wasn't prepared, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. But then, I had to get up. And so out of that, I finished my book.
Yes.
I'm sitting here with you today, right? So if I would have rolled over and stayed in the bed for, 5, 10 weeks, I would have missed opportunities, right? So I never would have thought I would have been in this place right now in my life. But at the time, it did seem devastating. It was, oh my God, it was horrible. It was the
Yeah.
worst I thought that could happen. But
Yeah.
now something beautiful has came out of it. And hopefully, we can transform lives and we can change lives all over the world. That's my mission. That's my purpose.
Yes.
I feel like God is leading to each. I feel like every trial is the next phase to get
Yes.
to your purpose. That's
Yes.
what I feel. Yeah.
That's exactly, totally well said, because trials are steps.
Yep.
It's like your book has steps on it, right?
Yeah, it does.
There's a stairway, right?
Yep.
Like you're not,
Yep.
and that you're not,
Yep.
the path is, sometimes you coast downhill. Like today, I got my headset on, I'm listening to some 80s song and I'm coasting down this hill. And if I actually felt safe letting go of the handlebars, I would have, and done one of these sort of like, Meg Ryan right before she gets hit by that truck in like the Angel movie. If you remember that movie,
Right.
when Nick Cage comes down and like decides he wants to give up being an angel to be with her, and then she gets hit by a truck. Total Hollywood. But anyway, that's what I wanted to do. Spread my wings and feel the wind. But anyway, get back on track here. It's like sometimes life feels like, and when I was coasting down the hill this morning, there were endorphins all during the pandemic. I went out, rain or shine, to Prospect Park. I was living in Brooklyn, and I'd get a city bike and I'd toot around the park like 3 times. And even when it was raining, and when there was no one in the park and it was raining, I would just let the rain pour down all over me. Nature is a beautiful purifier. And if you're not getting out and moving, that's a big part of why you feel maybe stuck. People feel. And so I know that when I'm riding my bike or moving my body, there are endorphins running through me that remind me how free I am. However, when I'm sitting in my chair and I'm trying to quote unquote chase my dreams and build my business, and I don't know what the F to do next, doesn't really feel so liberating, right?
It doesn't, right? It doesn't.
Right. So now there are people who are like, okay, great. You two sound great. You're doing it. You're chasing your dreams. Sounds good. You realize that like losing the job, losing the man was all meant to happen. Sounds good, but what the F, come on, people. Like, what do you want me to do? Just like quit my job and chase my.
No, I don't want you to do that.
Where do I start? What do I do? Right. And more importantly, what don't do it?
Yeah.
So there's some question here that I don't know how I'm asking, which is effectively, I think you and I both recognize that life will happen to you. You probably wouldn't have volunteered to lose your job. And then that's what happened. I wouldn't have volunteered to like run out of money while I was trying to build this business, but that's what happened. I wasn't prepared enough financially. I think I was prepared emotionally. I wasn't prepared enough financially. And I just didn't know. I didn't know.
Let me stop you right there.
Please.
So here's what I would tell people. If you want to start a business, or if you want to build your career, whatever you want to do in that realm, I would say the first thing you need to do is get a really good mentor. Really good mentor, because they can tell you things like that, so you can try to avoid the pitfalls that they've been through or they can foresee in the future. Get somebody in that space. They know it. They can tell you. They can help you. You need a mentor. I don't care. Anybody has ever built anything. People always say they're self-made. There's nobody on this earth that's self-made. Somebody always helped them. There was some backing or some mentorship, something. There's always somebody behind that person. So get you a solid mentor if you want to start, because it's hard to start on your own. When you were starting your business, you were like, oh, where do I start? What do I do? I got to get a business license. I got to get that. I didn't know I needed that. It's so many things. And you just don't know what you don't know, especially if you've never started a business before. So definitely get you somebody in that space. Absolutely. Always.
Yeah.
You have a mentor? Did you have a mentor in your space?
I have a couple. Yeah.
Oh no, back then when you tried your business, when you were doing.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I've always had mentors of different side, personal, therapist, coaches. I mean, a lot of people who had done it. I went to the Chamber of Commerce when I started my business, and I just joined the Chamber of Commerce because I'm like, here's business people. Business in this town. They'll connect me to other people doing business in this town, and there's a place to go to network with people who are doing business in this town. And so they know a lot of things I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you feel was your one thing that you could have did different in your business? Or what do you feel like,
Well, that's a great question. Well, I think that to answer that question, I I mean, I was laid off, right? So whatever I had in reserves at that time was what I had to work with. And I
Got
figured that it would last.
the capital was the issue.
Yeah, but I couldn't have controlled the timing clearly, right?
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I'll tell you what, again, when we go back to mindset, that was a difficult time. It was very depressing. It was very dark. I was
I
like,
get it.
wait a minute, I'm chasing my dream and I'm like failing and losing and nothing's coming back to me. What is this?
Yep,
And it was
yep.
a lot of the kind of, I always like to call it the moment of God, the end of Gone with the Wind was God is my witness at the first half. I'll never go hungry again. And Tara's kind of like railing at God. That was me, like not Tara. Tara's the house, who was Scarlett O'Hara, whatever her name is.
Right.
But I think what would I have done differently? I would have taken more risks. I would have been more bold. I
Love that. Let's talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing, I'll tell you what I would have done. I would have meditated more because I think the thing that really ruined me was my own fear. So let's unpack that. Being bold and having fear. Go for it.
That's, oh my gosh. That's the second thing I would say. Mentorship, and you can't be afraid. Scare money does not make money.
Nope.
Can't be afraid. If you want to get out there and get whatever you want to get in life, you got to jump out there and put yourself out there. CEOs aren't afraid to take risks. Jeff Bezos wasn't afraid to, start his company, and neither was not Nikola Tesla, but what is his name? Elon Musk. Elon Musk wasn't afraid to get out there and start their business. And it doesn't happen. People think it happens overnight.
I know.
People think it happens overnight. It does not happen overnight. And that's another thing. People won't be consistent because something will happen and it'll shake their confidence, and they'll be like, oh, you know what? That's God's way of saying it wasn't for me. Let me just go ahead and quit. And it's like, no, just stay the course. If you can, stay the course, because it's gonna happen, but it's just not gonna happen when you want it to happen a lot of times. So, it takes years. I know people that took years, 7, 8 years to build whatever. They're successful now, but it took years, and it took a lot of blood, sweat, equity, and a lot of people aren't willing to put in that time and energy to get that thing that they want, So even marriages, like let's switch to relationships, marriages. It takes years to have a successful marriage. Most people don't come out and get married and it's successful overnight. You have to work at it, and you have to work at it daily.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're going to fail at it. I promise you. I failed at one, and me and my husband have had our ups and downs, but you have to work at it. It takes work, and it takes internal work. And what I've learned in life is, like, you always have to be improving on yourself. Always. So life is about making you a better person, right? It's about making you into whatever God has for you to be. Like, he wants you to be this being, and he has a specific way he wants to mold of clay, right? He's molding you out of clay. And so life is about putting you, like we said earlier, putting you through these trials so you can be the best person or the best human that you need to be for whatever your purpose is.
Yeah. And here's the other thing, to speak more to, I guess the word I would use would be energy. I talk to a lot of people. I even just talked to somebody recently. They're unhappy at their job. They're making a lot of money, and they're like, I would really like to do this other thing, but they won't go, or they can't go. And so I want to clearly state to you, like, I heard this expression, you weren't fired, you were freed. If in fact it's your internal purpose, the God, as you understand God, higher power, cosmic energy, law of attraction, creative consciousness, Allah, Yahweh, Jesus, whatever it is inside of you. And it will keep pushing at the boundaries of your comfort. And every day that you stay at that job you hate, or in that relationship that you don't like or makes you miserable, you are forfeiting some part of you. And that over the long term results in decreased health, obesity, depression, anxiety, stress. All that takes a toll. So mind you, you're paying a price already. But the thing is that to the human mind, this idea of scarcity is so inbred in us. I mean, it's totally inbred from my mother's, that side of the family. Her parents lived through the Depression. My father's side of the family, they were Irish immigrants, kicked off their land in Northern Ireland, had to come here. And so it's like a very, like, that scarcity and poverty is so part of, so these people making 6 figures are like unhappy, don't want to leave. I can't chase my dreams because what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And it's like, but what you're already taking risks, and you're taking them with your health, your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, and you won't spend the money to go chase something that could make you really happy. And it's as if people are like, well, I don't know, my
I'd rather stay here with this thing that I know versus go out here to the unknown. It's the it's the fear of the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen over here. This may or may not work. That may or may not be a good concept. My business may or may not fail. So I know I got benefits. I know I got a paycheck. I know I got stability. So I can stay here and just suck it up until I turn 65, or I can go out here and stress and worry, and I don't know what's going to happen. So people it's the fear of the unknown. People don't like that. It's uncomfortable.
Oh, the expression, right? Better the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Don't know, right? Exactly.
It's so accurate. It's so accurate. No, people will stay, and because it's the devil they know. Yep. It's familiar. And, I used to say that, like, a friend of mine would be having trouble. She'd keep getting the same job with the same scenario. And I'm like, you realize that you move from school to school and it's the same person with a different name and it's the same relationship. Has it occurred to you that you're creating that relationship?
You're attracting it. Yeah.
And when do you want to change your mind? And the thing is that you like this. And she's like, I don't like this. It makes me miserable. It makes me upset. I'm like, okay, let me do a little verbal reframe then. You're comfortable with
this. Yes.
You keep seeking it consciously or unconsciously. So it's your place of comfortable, like what we were talking about before we started this habitual smoking. It's a place of comfort. It's something to do with my hands and my mouth. It relieves me of insecurity. It keeps me feeling a little bit safe. But the beauty of COVID in the past couple of years is you now know, and you cannot deny, that the world is not going to take care of you. Absolutely. The world, the government, anything outside of you, nothing is a guarantee. Your kids can leave, your husband can die, you could lose your job, that restaurant you've had for like the past 25 years closed.
Yes.
No more working, no more opening. If you can build a takeout business, good for you. If not, you're shit out of luck. Yeah. And that's what happened. And so now all these people working with all this money in the bank, I hope that you're thinking about chasing your dreams and thinking about doing something differently.
Yeah. It's so funny because it's like everything you just said, I was that person. Yeah. I was totally that person. I was like, I don't want to leave because I'm so comfortable here. Even though like I felt like I didn't get the promotions or the credit I deserved, I still was like, you know what, I'm willing to suck it up and take this abuse over here because I don't know what's out there. And I think I told you this last week when we talked. I said, sometimes if God has a purpose for you, he is going to have that purpose fulfilled. Yeah. So, he was telling me to move. You got to finish your book. It took me 5 years to write this book. You got to move. You got to move. He was like, okay, I'm going to give you grace because you don't want to leave because you're comfortable. But you know what? This scenario, something's going to happen. So it's going to shut the door permanently. And so sometimes we do things to ourselves to cause ourselves heartache. Because if I would have moved when God told me to move, then I probably would have been in a better situation because I would have been prepared. But because I didn't listen and I wanted to stay, and I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good, God. I'm not going to listen to you. I chose the path, which was the path of the hardest path to walk. I chose that path. And so now I'm here, but still it was like I said, it was a journey and it was hard. But like I said, I couldn't have left that job if that situation had happened. I would still be there today. I still would have been sitting there. And if you want to get out of your job, if you want to start a business, if you want to advance your career or move, whatever, what I would say is start putting away money now, start putting your plan together while you have a job. Yeah. Don't till you don't have a job. Like do it now, little by little. When you come home at night, like before you go to bed, start piecing your plan together, your exit strategy, or how much money do you need to start that business, or what kind of loans you got to take out. Like don't just do it, quit your job tomorrow. I would never say that because I'm not going to put everything in rose-colored glasses. I'm not going to look everything in rose-colored glasses because it's not. It's hard. It's hard. You'll admit it's hard. It's not an easy. It's not an easy road to walk. And so if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to be successful at it, you really have to have the mental fortitude, the capital behind you. The fear has to be gone. A really good mentor, consistency, persistent, because things will happen in your business and it's like, oh my God, you got to be persistent and push past those things that are going to happen. So there's all these things behind you that you need to have. So I wouldn't say just go quit your job tomorrow. No, we're not saying that at all. Don't do that. Don't do that. Have a plan. Please don't do that. Have a plan.
Unless you're being abused, and I mean severely abused. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, really, like, My niece years ago was in this situation. She was being yelled at every day. And I'm like, all right, listen, I understand you're saying for the benefits and, I get it. And she goes, and Nicole, I'm not getting benefits. And I'm like, quit that fucking job now.
She wasn't getting benefits?
This was a while ago. She was working in this
Oh my
like
goodness.
small little place down in Brooklyn. And let me tell you something also about my niece and how magnificent she is. Her and her fiance started a gelato company. It's called Common Meadows. A little plug for them. Common Meadows Creamery. A vegan gelato. They're doing super good. They're doing excellent. This young lady has such a great mindset. And that's the key, right? And then, moving on to our last question, the mindset game.
Yeah.
She years ago, and this young lady, my brother died when she was a little girl. She has not necessarily had a great life. A lot of other things happening to her, a little move here, move there, she's been challenged like all of us by one thing or another,
Oh.
but this is a woman who has persevered, overcome. And years ago, she started doing work around what she calls PMA, positive mental attitude. Like literally like that it's a game you play with your mind to reverse it, to manage it, to control it. I don't even really like using those words, managing and control, because then you hear people who are very, very much more like emotionally driven to be like, well, what are you trying to say? I should just like ignore my feelings? No. I am never a proponent. The more you ignore your feelings, the more you actually suffer. You believe in addressing feelings, because when you start to feel that pressure of like, am I going to make enough money? Am I going to make this business work? And you start to play the mindset game, you recognize that there are ways to keep your mind out of the dark holes and the devil's den so that you can put the pedal to the metal and keep moving forward. Yes. Will you get stressed? Yes. Will you get anxious? Yes. Will you feel depressed and dark? And what am I doing? And I don't know why and what for? Absolutely. Will you actually have a peak time where you make tons of money and then the next month you make nothing? Probably, right? Because it's the ebb and flow. If you look at business like nature, it's moving like that in the same way. It fluctuates. The stock market fluctuates, life fluctuates, age fluctuates, and it is a mental mindset game. So what do you do in terms of like mental mindset, keeping yourself level, calm, staying the course? What helps you on the either mental, emotional, or physical side of things?
Spirituality is really important to me. I really have to, converse with God, go out in nature. Like you said, some of the same things you said, really meditate. I really meditate. And, I came to the realization not too long ago, I was like, you know what? I can't control everything, every part of my life, everything that happens. So some things I just gotta be at peace with and let go, knowing that it's gonna work itself out and the greater plan will it will come forth. So um, meditation, spirituality, planning your life, planning, have a plan, always have a plan. Because if you have a plan and something goes awry, you can always be flexible and pivot. That's what you got to be able to pivot, because things, like I said, things are going to come up, things are going to happen. It's how you deal with them that makes or breaks you. So always have a plan and then be able to pivot when that plan changes. What else? Those are pretty much the main ones. Oh, and really staying grounded to my family. That's what keeps me going every day. It's the why, it's the outcome, it's the, why am I here? Why am I doing this? What kind of life do I want to create for my family and my children? What do I want my children to know about their mom? Like I want them to see me and see me go through something, but I came out of it better, stronger, amazing. And I want them to say my mom's amazing one day. So those are some of the things that I do to kind of equip myself mentally. Now, like I said, I'm not going to lie. Like when I first, had that issue with my job, like it was, oh my God, because I'd never been in that situation in my life. Like I'd never not had benefits, not had money coming in, not had security, and so it was tough. And I will never say, this is unfortunate. And I just want to delve into this for a second. I just had a friend that committed suicide, unfortunately. And I think it was, I don't know, I'm not sure if it was over money issues. I've had a couple of them over money issues over the years. And so, when you're in a dark place, sometimes thoughts can cross through your mind, but you really have to stay strong and know that this does not last forever. Whatever I'm going through right now, it is not going to last forever. So I pivoted right then, because I know people are going to get those thoughts. Like those thoughts do cross your mind. I mean, it happens to everyone. And I never say anymore, I can't believe they did that. I don't see how that happens. If you are in a dark place and something shakes your stability in life, you just never know what thoughts will cross your mind. So I never say, I don't understand why somebody, never. So I understand the mental state that people, people go through. So this is one of those games. It's all about really staying, like you said, you got to play with your mind and tell your mind that you are great. You are fabulous. I do affirmations too. That's another thing I do. I do a lot of affirmations because I have to. I have to, because everybody else will tell you, you can't, you won't, you're going to fail. Why are you doing that? You know, what's so funny, and I'm jumping around, but I'm coming back to it. But you know, what's so funny is when I quit my job, people were like the people that work, like they have jobs, the people, they were like, oh my God, what are you going to do? That's so devastating. Oh my God, what are you going to, oh. But my entrepreneurial friends were all like, wow, congratulations.
Yeah, totally.
It's so different. It was two different mindsets. It was like, really? Like, everybody was like, what are you gonna do? I mean, it was like the fire was about to cave in, and people that were already entrepreneurs, they were just like, that's amazing. That's great. It's amazing. Just do what you got to do. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is okay. I mean, it's so weird the way we program our minds, or society programs our minds to think one specific way, and there's so many different avenues you can take nowadays. Even younger kids are seeing that. They don't have to go to a 9 to 5. They're doing it all kinds of ways. You know what I'm saying? So, I love that. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. So yeah, it meant, like, mentally, you really got to just really stay grounded mentally. But how do you stay grounded?
So you made me think about a couple of things. So I'm really sorry about your friend, first of all.
Yeah.
And that's always devastating news, right? Because I know myself too, like I never understood that either. And then when I was going through, oddly enough, not when I lost my brother, but oddly enough, when I was going through this money stuff, I'd be like, I get why people kill themselves. I could just stop.
I said the same thing.
Like, and I mean, I never got to the point of taking action, but I had never had thoughts like that. I never had thoughts that dark.
Yes.
And really, I'm like, oh, now I know why people blow their brains out.
Yes.
And so, like, but it's really interesting. You said a couple of things, and we are conditioned to think in certain ways. And I love to talk about, like, part of my purpose is like being a good mom for my children and wanting them to see what's possible. My mother is like my hero. And I'll tell you what is it doesn't matter if, like, for example, my mother disciplined me. I can't look back at a single situation where I didn't do something to warrant the consequences. Because my mother is true. She's spiritual. She's honest. And you know what she is more than anything? She's a great person when no one's watching her. And it's like, my mother's the kind of person, she gets on an airplane and she gets off, and I talked to her and she says, you wouldn't believe what happened. I'm like, let me guess. Somebody sat next to you and told you their life story. So, right, because that's the kind of person she is. Like, people open themselves into her.
Yeah.
I think that, like, for me, what motivates me is people like her, people like you, people. And then also I have a very strong sense of self and you talk about the difference between your entrepreneurial friends and your other friends. Whole life, those, what you call we'll call them the job people, the people who like to stay comfortable and stuck. My whole life, it's like, you're so selfish. You're so selfish. And then I'm like, am I selfish? What am I selfish about? No. And what I realize is that the world does not owe me a thing. Absolutely. If I can make it any way or anywhere, or even just take one step forward, it's my will aligned with a greater power, which you call God, but we can call it whatever we want. Absolutely. That greater will is a great source of energy. It keeps me moving. It keeps me persistent. It keeps me dedicated. It keeps me disciplined. It keeps me taking care of my own body. When honestly, if I had my way, I'd have like a quart of tequila, a box of donuts, and a pack of cigarettes, and like lay in my bed all day. If given my will without an alignment to higher purpose, that's what I'd be doing, right? So it's just like this. I'm highly intelligent, right? For you, that my brain, it works at 1/10 of the capacity that it can work at when it's aligned with that greater consciousness. When it's attached to my heart, when I'm feeling what's happening, not discrediting it, but also not like sitting in it and pouring, don't stare. Right. My feelings, I don't stare. And then I take the two things and I marry them, and I build a house in my gut called intuition. And I try to live from there. Yes. That enables me to be free to live my life, Yes, I love it. So this has been a great conversation. I want to leave a couple of minutes for you to plug your book, and I want you to talk to whoever's listening just about your book. So to end it, we're going to end on the Kat Sterling promotional show.
Oh, I'm embarrassed. I don't want it to be all about me. No, I'm kidding.
So do it, do it, do it, do it.
Okay, so my book is called Why They Are Winning and You Are Not. It was an Amazon bestseller. It gives you the steps. Thank you. I feel like it's a practical book that gives you the steps to creating success in your life. Whatever that success looks like, I feel like I give you practical information that'll help you get to where you're trying to go. So please go look at it on Amazon, go buy it, like it, share it. Please leave me a review if you love it. Like I said, my plan is to take this worldwide and change some lives across the globe. So
That's what we want to do. Yay. Yeah. We're here to change lives. And
one day at a
that's doing
time.
it by talking about winning, why people are winning and you're not. And I'm doing it by talking about power, how to grow your personal power. And they're connected, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
You feel like you're winning when you feel powerful, right?
Yeah,
You feel
yeah.
powerful, you win at
Yeah.
everything you show up for.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
everything you show up for doesn't always have to feel like a loss. It can feel
Absolutely.
like, and even when it doesn't go well, when you build the
Absolutely.
inner toolkit and you have that sense of purpose and alignment and that
Absolutely.
feeling like you win and you're powerful, even when things don't go well, you can handle the debris, right?
Absolutely. Yep. I agree
Okay.
100%.
So Kat, your website, katsterling.net.
Yes, katsterling.net. Yep.
And
I'm
Kat
on
is
Instagram.
KATSTERLING.
And then I'm on Instagram at The Real Cat of Atlanta. Same thing with TikTok and YouTube. So yes, you can find me on all platforms and Facebook, Kat Sterling.
Okay, good. Good. All right. So everybody look for her there, but those links will also be, if you happen to be watching this video on YouTube, those links will be at the beginning and end of the video. And then when I post this to social media, I'll also put those links in there. So everybody can get in touch with Kat and everybody can find her book and everybody can hear more about how great she is at winning at life. Woo! All right, so we're going to sign off now. Everybody
Thanks,
have a great day. You're
Take
welcome.
care.